And Dotta, hello. Where's Bear? He's supposed to be here.
I've learned to just not trust anything dealing with Bear anymore. I think he's just full of hot air, and I think we can do the show without him.
Wow, you went there. You went there.
Yeah, I don't know where he is. But I'm sure he'll be here eventually. In fact, I think Bear even wants to rant a little bit, judging by his commentary in the Discord over the last few days. So I'm sure he'll be here. Nevertheless, we've got a big show today. We've got updates. We've got Black Sands. We've got cult questions. We've got a guest coming on later today.
There's so much. We had a cult wedding this weekend. Okay, it really wasn't a cult wedding. It was just a wedding from a cult member. But it was super duper fun. Our very own Magus Wazir and Artist Rock were beautifully wed this weekend in Louisiana. I went to the wedding. It was incredibly fun.
Yep.
And there was a bunch of wizards there. Slim was there. We had Angus and Moo was there, also with his son. Boop was there, who's a warrior. Slim's wife was there. It was just like such an incredible time. You should all know that Slim is a dancing god. He is the life of the party. Yeah, we got to get Slim to the next, the next Forgotten Ruins Wizards party. You will all fall in love as I did, my family did. So, yeah, it was such a fun time. So we went out to Louisiana. We had that they got married. They rang a bell on the way out of the chapel, which was just delightful. We all danced on the dance floor. I tried to copy some of Slim's moves, but I danced like an adult baby. There was a big roasted pig, which was incredible. And really, one of the things you should know is just like, it just feels like everywhere you go and you meet a group of wizards, they're just such good people. And that was totally the case there. But there was like 5 or 6 wizards there, and it just felt like just this like built-in friend group. They made us feel like super duper welcome. And then when we saw the bride and groom off, instead of throwing rice, they handed out little bells to everybody. And so yeah, the one who rings was sent off with his wife to the sound of tinkling bells. We've still got our bells. My kids ring it all the time. It's super annoying. And yeah, we just had a really beautiful time.
Congrats to the one who rings and artists. Slim is asking why I did not go to the wedding. Is it because I hate him? No, Slim. It's because when the black goat walks into a church, the whole place catches on fire. So I didn't want to crash the wedding. Bear, where the hell have you been?
Oh, hey, it's Wizard Wednesday, guys. I was hosting a different Wizard Wednesday in a different spaces. So I decided to come. You guys beat me with the attendance. So I'm here. Hi.
Nobody came to your Wizard Wednesday, did they?
No one gives a shit about my Wizard Wednesday. Yes. Hi, guys. Welcome.
What's up? What's up? Yeah, it would have been
no,
fun to have you at the wedding. Everybody who knows you thought you should have been there.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing. I'm so happy for Waz and artists. Waz is like back to work today. They haven't even taken a vacation, like a honeymoon.
No, yeah, they need to take a honeymoon. Yeah.
So yeah, Waz, I highly encourage you to take a break. Yeah, just do it. Okay, yeah. So that was the first cult question from Slim. We've got a handful more. Let's get this one out of the way. Shlee is asking a question that has been asked a lot, and I'd like to know the answer to this question myself. Any updates on the Ledger Forgotten Runes collaboration?
I don't even know. Every time we reach out to Ledger and they say that they're waiting on their supplier. So yeah, does anybody have like a real answer?
Yeah, I do. I think everybody was like, there's a timeline, right? And like, I think everybody saw the Dead Fellas Ledger come out. But the reality is, Death Fellow Ledger was like 2 or 3 months before us. So there is like just a production timeline. That's always sort of been the case. And I was actually WhatsApping with the guy who runs partnerships with Ledger this exact morning. And yeah, everything's on track. So everybody just let's take a chill pill. They're coming. They're gonna look incredible. Let's just
Oh
relax.
no,
I
it's
know it's web.
taking kind of a long time.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we did it. What we launched it in December.
Yeah.
These are physical items. They're being packaged with some other things. They were kind enough to put a comic book and some stickers and I think some other things in there. So, of course, we couldn't just do what everybody else did. We had to like pile on extra cherries on top. So it is absolutely happening. Of course, it is. I know that we, as Magic Machine, bought a bunch for the team and extras as well. And I even got a picture of the custom box this morning. So
Oh,
yeah, it's totally happening. Just the
great.
usual Web3, hurry up. And I promise
Yeah.
you, if I could go to France and stand at the manufacturing line and give massages and make them work faster, I would, but I don't think that would work.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
actually,
very thankful for Ledger for including us in this process. Don't want to kind of rag on our partners too bad, though. I do kind of feel like in hindsight we maybe could have done better, uh, getting expectations from them on timeline, just so that way people know, like, hey, if you buy this, it's going to be 8 months before you actually get it in your hands.
Well, I think
there's
we can.
something.
Sorry, not to cut you off, Alf, but I'm pretty sure we're still on track on timeline. It was.
Okay,
I think
great.
we were like 4 months. I believe we were 4 months after um, the date in January, February that they would be available. So we're well within that time frame.
Actually, it's a good question, and I was wondering the same. Um, but yeah, they're coming. Okay, Marco Fine. Man, speaking of timelines, Marco Fine is asking when Scree. I'm guessing that's asking about Goblin Town. Dotta, what can you tell us?
Oh, you'll play it when you play it.
I will elaborate on that. The team is working very hard. I mean, I think I'm not sure if we've talked about, but there's a Goblin Town specific dev channel or server, and every single day we see incredible headway going. And just kudos to Dota and Niski and the entire team, VMark, SPZ. I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, it's going really well. I know it's taking longer than you thought, Dota, but I feel like it looks
Yep.
freaking incredible.
We're getting great design work from Sumis and Pixel Shop. They're like really helping work through a lot of the details. I think that it's like there's so many kind of design iterations that come through making a game UI that, like, in hindsight, once you've worked it out, it feels like just so obvious, right? That's hope when you get a game in your hands. What you hope is that the UI feels intuitive. You don't have to watch a big tutorial. You just, like, the buttons are where you would expect them and it works, right? And like it feels so obvious, but then like when you're actually kind of um, building it out, I think there's like UIs that we've had to redesign 4 times because they just kind of like, you get in and you add something and you're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have to add it over here. Maybe it should be over here. And so, yeah, we've got, again, we're releasing new betas to Arbitrum on kind of on Arbitrum Girly probably every week. I think Niski just released a new beta internal build this morning, and yeah, still making progress there. It's going to be super duper fun. I'd be happier to do the mint when the market is going to pay attention to this sort of game a little bit more. But let's get the game working, and then we'll talk about when the mint is going to be.
Okay, so Bear, I'm going to let you take the heat for the Ledger. Dota, you're taking the heat for the Goblin Town timeline. I am going to take the
Mm-hmm.
heat for the 3D timeline.
It's called
So
accountability.
yeah.
Yeah, accountability.
So 3D update, like I said last week, that all the characters are more or less done. We're still working through bugs of the gen, like all the generations of them. And then it's just website that's still being worked on, and we're also trying to do a really nice trailer because if one thing if there's anything Forgotten Runes could work on, it's it's not that we don't ship enough. It's that we don't talk about all the things that we ship enough. So we're trying to do a really nice trailer for our whole 3D rollout, and that is the 3D update, and that's why it's taking so long. But it's in progress.
Yeah, the 3D stuff has yeah, we've got well, okay, so when you have the skeleton, then you attach it to the geometry with this sort of like they call it a weight paint, and that basically says like, I've got these bones and this is how I want, let's say the cuff of the robe to move as the wizard moves his arm. And so Frog Eater and the 3D team have worked quite a lot on just kind of finalizing those. I think as we start running each one of them through animations, you see a little bit of bugs or file names that were named improperly or skin tone mismatches. And so we're basically going through our phase of kind of like making sure all of that works, right? We don't want to release something and have it crash or not work. And so yeah, we've got that. Basically just working through all those things. And then
Yep.
another part is that we want to make sure that it's usable in a lot of metas. Ooh, I almost dropped the name of a meta. I don't know if I should have. So there are some metas that we are going to be in that, well, literally every single one requires a different code and infrastructure. So, again, Magus Wazir is kind of taking the lead on that, of sort of writing these scripts to export from Blender into all the different formats and create 10,000 wizards, 5 different ways. So there's, 50,000 files that you'll be able to download. And, well, just it just all is just taking longer than we would hope. But if anybody kind of wants your specific wizard, we can probably make it and get you at least some sort of format.
Yeah, I've actually received a handful of requests lately, and I haven't distributed those. Don't worry, they're on the list. Frog Eater is putting them together, I haven't forgotten about you. It's all on the list. But yeah, if anyone else wants their 3D rig, just DM me and we'll put it in the queue. Okay, there's a few lore questions. Legatus is asking, has there been a war between wizard factions? Yeah, I mean, nothing that's been like documented in the Wikipedia. I haven't checked the Book of Lore to see if there's anything written on that, but yeah, as I said before, like the map itself was sort of designed to sort of inspire inherent conflict between regions. Just for example, like you've got Alisar's Keep on Kelpie's Bay. Alisar's Keep is like a hub of maritime merchants, and Kelpie's Bay is full of Kelpies, and Kelpies are known for like destroying merchant ships. So there's a conflict right there. Um, the Chronomancer's Riviera, which is known as a place of just sort of debaucherous, carefree parties, is next, very close to the Quantum Shadow, and only Battle Mage Mountains sits between them. So there's inherent conflict there. The Blue Wizard Bastion, which is a place of sort of an academic scientific approach to magic, is sitting adjacent to places of almost pure magic, the Sacred Pillars and the Gate to the Seventh Realm. There's tons of examples like this across the map. So while I've not taken the time to like spell out any inherent conflicts, they are sort of sitting there for anyone to write lore upon. Um, Hen Boyd is asking,
Oh,
is
on
the
that, one of the
go ahead,
things
Dotta.
that I'm like realizing just mechanically as you're talking is how much we need to get like transcriptions of Wizard Wednesday into Wikipedia, because there's so much of this lore that you've dropped. I know we have some of it, but we should basically use Whisper or whatever to get the actual full text in there. Because, for example, one of the things that I've been working on is just like I'm exploring this idea of using the language models with the Book of Lore to build tools that create this sort of like human and LLM collaboration augmented of storytelling, particularly around our map. And one of the things that I was doing this week is I was generating, like, I was just like, kind of, I've been happy with what it's generating. And I sort of set it loose to say, generate these locations across the map, like with a finer grain resolution, right? Take these top level locations that we have, the Elysian Gates, the Infinity Veil, the Gates of the Seventh Realm, and take what we know in the Book of Lore, like search up what's in the Book of Lore, search up what's on Wikipedia, and generate some locations. And one of the things that happened is I was generating the sub locations for Callista's Citadel. I was generating Callista's Citadel's locations, and it started generating this crazy location that was called like the Apex Rocket Company headquarters. And I was like, what? And then it generated like the Apex Rocket Company Plaza, which is this like, where the rocket company displays its latest innovations and sells components. And I was like, this is so weird. I mean, I know there's like modern technology and rockets, and I was like, it, is the AI kind of like going off the rails here, or like going off script? What's happening? And then I basically looked it up, and there there is actually a wizard. There's the pyromancer Callista of the Citadel. So it's wizard 3344, and pyromancer Callista of the Citadel. If you actually look at her lore entry, the owner has basically written this pretty involved lore about how she was the founder of the Apex Rocket Company, and she basically went to engineering university, and then now she dazzles the crowd with her fireworks. And so like what I basically realized is that like the tool was working sort of without my knowledge, of kind of searching the Book of Lore, mining it for like events that actually happened, and then sort of like creating locations that were like entirely consistent with the owner's lore. And so, well, I just love that in terms of like the potential of what we have going on here. And so I think this idea of even just having you say, like, even when you just like speak these words, which is like Alisar's Keep is like a merchant trading post, and Kelpies are known to attack trading ships, right? Like even just that little fragment, if we can capture that and put that into text and put that in Wikipedia, now that's actually like this knowledge bit that you spoke into like instruction for the machine, and the machine has a better recall than any of us, and so we can kind of use it as a resource for future tools. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we've been working
this
on.
this is speaking to a much longer conversation. Maybe we can get into later, but I think one of the most valuable things that Forgotten Runes is sitting on right now is this massive data set that has been created by all of our community. And every day, our team talks about what are ways we can leverage this beautiful, unique data set to make awesome things with. It's something that we're definitely going to get more and more into as time goes on. But yeah, I mean, it's just, again, we just have an amazing data set that we're sitting on. So please keep writing in the Book of Lore, because you're contributing to this large lore model.
Well, and yeah, yeah. Sorry, not. I don't want to harp on this too much, but like, whatever. We're here. There's something around like, how do I say this? I feel that there's dialogue around data collection that usually gets villainized as sort of this like privacy invading, like machine eating, like, or this machine like eating humanity or something, or that like, and there's an aspect of that. Maybe we can have that as part of a little bigger conversation. But for me to kind of say, well, when you write lore, you're contributing to this like data set that then we can like mine, to me sounds almost like so stale. And for me, the how I view it is actually in this like positive aspect, which is something like when you write lore about Callista the Citadel and how she starts the Apex Rocket Company, you're actually sort of like manifesting this kind of like this world building, with your words, that now we can make inferences about to build these other stories. It's almost like we woke up as like this baby and our eyes haven't come into focus yet. And like each word that you speak brings this like higher grain resolution to the world, to this like collaborative legendarium. And you're like, creating with your words. And so, like, you're technically right. Like, when you write in the Book of Lore, you're submitting to a data set that can be mined, but it's like it's so much more than that. It's like you're actually, your world building with your words, this like environment we can now all like collaborate with and build on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
You believe that too, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Hinboyd is asking, is the quantum, speaking of AI, he's asking, is the quantum shadow really artificial intelligence? This is a really fun question. when you asked this question, Hinboyd, where my mind went. Okay, well, let me clarify. In the past, I've said that the quantum shadow is just sort of this placeholder stand-in for the unknown. A good scientific corollary to this is like dark energy or dark matter. It's just sort of a mathematical placeholder that physicists use to describe this force that they can't account for. Um, and so, but when you asked this, my mind went to this theory that I read about many years ago in this book called The Cosmic Jackpot by Paul Davies. And he posits this theory where he uses the observer effect in quantum mechanics. If you don't know what that is, it was sort of epitomized by the double slit experiment, where light is neither a particle or a wave until it's observed. Another sort of example of this is Schrodinger's cat. Um, there's a box containing a cat, and you don't know if the cat is dead or alive until you open it and observe its state. Um, another sort of Zen way of saying this is, if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. The point is like,
what was the name of the book?
The Cosmic Jackpot by Paul Davies. And so anyway, this theory uses the observer effect to extrapolate this idea that the universe itself only exists because in the far, far future, every single particle that makes up the universe will be observed. And this only seems possible by a superintelligence, by either humanity augmenting itself with this superintelligence, or the superintelligence itself becoming sentient. And so, long story short, Hinboyd, yes, the quantum shadow might be an AI. I don't know. I don't know what this stand-in for the unknown actually is, but that could be it. I don't know. And then
That's interesting. A lot of religious people basically see this cosmic jackpot theory as like, a rational reason for the proof of the existence of God.
Yeah, except Davies uses it to actually prove the opposite, which is we don't live in a universe, we live in a multiverse. And so there's infinite multiverses out there. And the cosmic jackpot refers to we hit the jackpot by living in one that supports our life. It's a game of statistics. If there's infinite universes out there, then of course there's going to be one that all the conditions are fine-tuned to support life. There's infinite others out there that do not.
We've all seen Doctor Strange. I mean, hopefully, it's the same thing.
I actually have not
Oh,
seen
you
it.
you would love.
Is that the one where he like rides the rocket, where he rides the nuclear bomb, like that Doctor Strange?
No, 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 no. No. This is the Marvel movie Doctor Strange, and it basically talks. Listen, you guys are the intellectual ones. I'm coming in with the big tempo movies references. No, he talks about it. Just talks about multiple dimensions, and they go in between them, and some of them are weird.
I'm thinking about Doctor Strange Love. That's
Yeah,
what
Strange Love.
that's what
Yeah,
yeah.
good movie too.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this one is from O, and he addresses it to me, but I think you guys can chime in on this. It's just sort of like a generalized question. He's asking, can I get an assessment on just sort of NFT culture across the board at this current moment? He's asking how we think about miladies and yuga, and then just generalized like conflict resolution
That's a
and
good topic.
notions of cancel culture, House of Cats, lore, meme coins, decentralization. What's your sort of impression of the community at
That's a
large?
He has
lot.
love on here.
That's a lot.
We can talk the whole time about love.
Yeah, this could take up a whole space, but like just general impressions. You guys want to take a
Yeah,
stab at that?
and if we could, let's keep it at like the general sort of temperature and where NFTs are at right now. I think that would be a good topic.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. I can't keep it surface, but go ahead. We'll start there.
Well, Okay, I can riff on this. Miladies, not a fan. Nihilistic culture has never been my cup of tea. I realize that there are sections of the internet who love it. 4chan, 8chan, garbage. If that's your thing, go for it.
Okay, so miladies, here's my deal. I'm of like a few sides. One, when I saw Miladies originally, like very, very early on, like when it was like less than point 0.1, like around mint time, I was like, oh, I can totally see that these are going to do well, but the art makes me feel weird. Like I just can't, I can't put my finger on it, but I don't like it. I don't want to participate. I think that and then there was basically quite a lot of sort of, I'm gonna use the word FUD, but I think that like I'm not trying to speak to like the truth or falsehood about it around kind of like some of the early members, creators, I don't really know. That kind of also like there was a time where Miladies was like quite counterculture in terms of like to sort of like buy and sport a Milady PFP was really to try to draw this line in the sand that I think it kind of lost a little bit. Like Miladies has kind of gone mainstream in my opinion. Like it's like not actually that edgy. Like there was a time where like if you had a Miladies at PFP, you'd be like just canceled because you were just so clearly associated with like some pretty atrocious behavior. And I don't think that's the case. Somewhere along the line, like Miladies went mainstream. So like I think now it's way more of sort of this like kind of posing where like you want to be tough and associated with this like very dark side of the internet, but I actually don't think that. I think it lost that like somewhere along the way.
Yeah, but you can still be mainstream and like doomer pilled or black pilled, and it's still nihilism, even if it's quote unquote mainstream. I
No, I
mean,
agree. I just think like at one point it was like a cancelable offense to wear a Milady, and like that got lost. And I
yeah.
think that was actually
Anyway,
like even the essence of it.
yeah, not interested, but if that's your thing, go for it.
Like if you
Nihilism
look at the
can be
top,
fun.
more generally, if you look at like the top like Blur 7-day volume, it's Azuki, Mutant Apes, Miladies, Punks, Bored Apes, D Gods, Ramillos, Pudgy Penguins, and Captains, right? So like I look at that and kind of without criticism to those projects, I think that like I look at that and I see a certain mood, right? Like you can see the market mood reflected in that. So you clearly have kind of these like let's call them neutral mega players, which would be like the Yuga stuff, punks and bored apes, right? Um, but I think, yeah, I think when you look at kind of like Azuki, D Gods, Moonbirds a little bit, Pepe's, Miladies, those are all a mood for me that kind of like reflect sort of the like I wouldn't say bearishness, but something around like the kind of like um, the grit you kind of have to stick around in a market like this, right? Like I
Oh
don't really
yeah,
see those as this kind of like fun, light-hearted, optimistic project. It's like they're kind of like ready for battle basically, and like here to make money.
yeah. Yeah. There's a strong doomer culture that's sort of gripping the market right now. I think that speaks to the rise of Pepe coin and meme coins. Like these are projects that have nothing to offer beyond just cynical meme shit posting, and that's yeah. I mean, I can see that reflected across the market.
Yeah,
Um,
and I want to be clear too. I'm painting with such a broad brush. Like I'm not making like personal criticisms of any of the founders and certainly not any of like the individual holders. I'm not trying to like paint a broad brush around a group of people by association. I'm just sort of like but still I think you can look at that and see like a mood pattern, something like that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yep. Um, yeah, I mean, just I don't know. Bear market blues is, I think what we're seeing, and it's manifesting in some sort of ugly ways. But I don't think it's here to stay. It's just the current cycle. Um, okay, I think that's all the questions we have. Should we bring our guest on? We're about halfway
Yeah,
through.
let's do it.
Um, Seb, if you actually, let me just send you an invite. If you're ready. Bear, do you want to introduce Seb?
Yes, I would be happy to introduce Seb. So many people in the cult probably know who Seb is. I've had the honor to hang out with Seb quite a few times in real life, his team, um, and even his extended family coming out of Eastern Canada. He's the CEO of the Zapperfy platform that I will butcher if I try to describe what it is. But that's why he's here. They have a new product that they're sort of, or new functionality that they're rolling out that we're actually really excited about. I know Elf and I were playing with it, and it's really exciting, right? It's like a new to us. It's like a new perspective on how you engage with your community. Different, it like highlights different things maybe than like an OpenSea would. So happy to have you, Seb. Would love for you to tell us about what you're up to, and congrats on all the success.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Yeah,
Hey, what's
hello.
up?
Hey. Thank you so much for having me. I've been a fan of Wizards since, I mean, I think like the beginning, or maybe like a month after you guys minted. Um, and I know that a lot of folks at Zapper too are huge fans of Wizards. I think our conversion rate is probably like 75%, which is like an important key metric at Zapper, is to maintain that as high as possible. Um,
Nice.
so we do have a lot of Zapper wizard collectors at Zapper. I think it's like a lot of us are kind of all geeks, and so we relate a lot. And I think it's a really good entry. Um, I mean, for people like us into the NFT space, it was like one of the first collections that I really gravitated to because I'm a geek. I love Lord of the Rings. I've been reading fantasy like since I was super young, so very easy for me to like understand and see the potential here. So congrats. I love the Wizards.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank
Seb.
you. Yeah.
Well, Seb, I was playing with Zapperfy the other day. I didn't know much about it. I dug in, and I think I understood it within like 5 minutes of playing with it. But I want you to like just sort of tell everyone here what exactly it is that you're building.
Nice. Yeah. So Zapper, our goal is to make the blockchain readable for everyone. And going a bit through like the story, initially our focus was really uh, tracking your DeFi portfolio. So it was the first window into which we were making the blockchain readable. But we quickly realized as we were kind of building a portfolio tracker, is we're like building like there's one moment where like we're actually building an account profile. It just so happens that we're surfacing assets that are in DeFi, but they could be NFTs, they could be membership in a DAO. Um, and that realization kind of came with how many users we noticed were just looking at other accounts, which is one of the uh, important use cases of blockchain is to look at what other people are doing, what things are happening. Um, and so we kind of evolved from the initial use case of tracking your DeFi portfolio to really kind of exploring everything. And our vision of the future for Zapper is kind of building a retail Etherscan, a block explorer that anyone can read, see what's happening on chain. And to us, it's something that's really important because when when I was really thinking about how people read on-chain information or like the places they do it, um, most often than not, it's on like Web2 products. It'll be on Twitter. We'll be talking about things that happen on chain, or we'll be finding things or opportunities through Twitter. We'll be doing it through Telegram and Discord. And one of the main problems with that is there's signal distortion, right? It's
Yeah.
happening a distance away from the chain. So the chain is the source of truth, and you have distortion. Like I always find it weird that we can all have different experiences of crypto Twitter, right? Some will have a bit more of an NFT angle, some DeFi, and it's weird because we're all living our own echo chambers of on-chain information in a way. Um, but we do have like this foundation that is there. It's not questionable, it's unopinionated things that are happening, and so having people be closer there uh, is really important. You see like the amount of influencers that will just shill stuff to just dump it immediately, and then people find it out, or like Zach XBT finds it out. Like that's just to show like right now we're in a state where the distance between the information happening and it being relayed is just so wide. So
So
yeah, Zapper, Zapper is making the blockchain readable.
Yeah. That's a great description. For me, if I was to describe this to someone else, I would say it's Twitter, except all the posts on your timeline are blockchain transactions. And you can like follow different wallets, which are essentially just accounts. One of the first things I did when I connected my wallet was I followed pretty much all the wizards that I saw, and now I'm watching all of your transactions, which like which is interesting because like okay, so let me give you a few anecdotes. The other day, I bought a really stupid meme coin, LFG, and I am like on the one hand kind of embarrassed that this transaction is there for all to see. I mean, it's a public transaction anyway, but Zapperfy makes it like super readable, and like I say this sort of tongue in cheek. I'm actually I think it's great that this is like being shown. Another thing that was great was I started like looking at my account and all the other things that like Zapperfy like brings to the forefront for you. And I discovered, unbeknownst to me, that I had like $1,000 of unclaimed wrapped ETH on Lookbook. And like without Zapperfy, that would have probably sat there forever. And so you just made me like $1,000.
You can
Steph.
send me
So
a check
Yeah,
anytime.
I'm going. I'm going back into Zapper right now. Let's see if I got any cash.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how much unclaimed tokens are out there, and Zapperfy will show that to you, or Zapper will show
So
you.
one, like on your first one, I think it's such an interesting topic because I mean the fact is there's a blockchain that's transparent. Everything's there. Anyone can look at it and see what people are buying, right? Um, but I think now and what's gonna happen in the future is like we're gonna be confronted with that aspect, um, and it'll change our behavior, I believe, because I think a lot of people coming into this space aren't confronted with the fact that the blockchain is transparent because it's happening somewhere else. They're using a dApp, they're swapping on Uniswap. The blockchain is like, you know, whatever. I'm used to using Facebook, YouTube. I know it like you're kind of going through these Web2 patterns and not really thinking about it. But if you're using a technology and you're not really understanding it, not necessarily like from a technical perspective, but more from like an abstract macro perspective, the fact that it's transparent, like Zapper kind of makes that obvious to you, right? You go on Zapper and you see all the transactions, you see accounts. We're not telling you it's transparent, you're seeing it. And I think it'll have consequences on how you like the fact that the blockchain will become more and more readable with time will make us think about how we choose our identity. Potentially more people or more people take a conscious decision about their identity, whether it be choosing their real name, pseudo anon or anon. But I think like it's important that people know that so they can take a decision and not be like, oh shit, I didn't realize that, and now people are just going to look at what I'm doing on chain. And then the second thing I think is like what you do on chain is such a it tells a lot about the person in the sense that it's like high intent data, right? If you think about like Web2, I could decide to put any like illusion of myself that I want, whether I'm Facebook, Twitter, like you see it with Instagram models, right? They're putting out illusions because they decide the content. But like on chain is very different. It's very high intent, immutable. It's like you have a trace of something you've done in the past. And like, like we say, like actions speak louder than words. And so I think it's like really important in helping people like understand identity. Like you'll see the scammer dumping something on you on Zapper. Like you'll be able to see someone's identity from there. And I think it's important for building a trustless economy of anons, pseudo anons in the future.
Yeah. One of the things that I tweet a lot about is this idea of kind of follow trading um, on chain rather than following tweets. So this is a topic that's really interested me for a long time. Like one of my even bigger tweets from like, gosh, 2017 probably was that I was kind of like trading and I was interested in like, you have so many people posting this like selection bias, like after the fact of, they put in, $1,000 and now they turn it into $1 million or whatever. And all these coins that you should buy. And everybody has their first coin, but I think like the first coin for me that really taught me like don't listen to influencers with this old coin called Octo. I don't know if anybody got Octo, but like all the influencers sort of coordinated to be like, oh, Octo is going to be the greatest. They're going to have this wallet and get like credit cards. It was just like amazing. It was supposed to be amazing. And it of course like went nowhere. And like so many of the coins that year did. And so what I did is I wrote some code that I actually said like, okay, I'm going to look at all of the price history of, I've got all these biggest influencers and I'm going to look at the price history of like when they tweeted about it, and then summarize to be like, if you had bought when they tweeted, like how good would you be within like 24 hours? How good would you be like best case scenario? Like let's say that you sold the peak within like 30 days after they tweeted, and what you basically found is that every single one of them you would have lost money. That like, and I haven't run the numbers in 2023, but I guarantee you it's pretty much the same, which is like if you buy based on what people are tweeting, best case scenario is you're like, if you buy that, do the all the time, you're going to lose money almost every single time. And which means on average, you're going to lose money, right? Because the way that you have to think about your trading is that it's not that like sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you lose. It's about like the average. It's a lot better to think about your trading as a probability distribution than like a number. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, you should go research probability distributions, right? That like you have to basically have an edge to win more often than you lose. And so by following tweets, you don't get that. And on the contrary, following on chain, you absolutely do. I would say that that's been like one of the edges for anybody who can read Etherscan, is that what you basically should do is go and find the coins that everyone are tweeting about that they made so much money on, and like look at the wallets of who was buying those before it pumped. And what you can actually find if you're willing to put in the work, right? If you're willing to track down each one, put the accounts in a spreadsheet, and kind of run some numbers or learn how to use, Dune, is you can actually find the same accounts start to show up time and time again. And if you, so like, one of the things you have to know is that influencers often have their public account and then they have their anon wallets. I know personally of at least two mega influencers that I've caught more than once, where they'll give themselves coins from their alt accounts, right? Then they will tweet about it from their main account and they have their public wallet or whatever. And to get all the followers to buy, and the followers buy, they sell from their Anon account, and then they don't sell on their main account. So then they can be like, look, guys, I lost money too. Like, it's just so ridiculous. And so, like, if you look on chain, that's actually incredibly obvious because a lot of times it's really sloppy. So, what I'm getting at is that Etherscan is very hard to read, and what you guys are creating with Zapper is actually very easy to read. And so, it's this like incredible opportunity for anybody who's willing to sort of find the wallets of people who trade, because what you basically have right now in this moment when we don't have like private transactions is the opportunity to literally sit over the shoulder of like the greatest traders in the world and then like see exactly what they're doing and how they trade and what they're buying and in how much. And like this window will not exist for the next 20 years. Like basically what's going to happen is we're going to figure out on-chain privacy. All the chains will basically be like zero knowledge proofs, and you won't be able to follow trade anymore because the transactions will turn private. And so you basically have this, I always say, 5 to 10 year opportunity to look over the shoulder of the greatest traders in the world if you can find them. And so what you're doing is like just far more powerful than I think a lot of people even realize.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And it's honestly, and like the examples you've given are some things that I myself have experienced. And it's like, how can I bring that to more people? How can, there's so much people with a information advantage, usually people that are technical, that understand how to leverage Etherscan, Dune Analytics, and a bunch of other tools. Um, and that's not something that's available to everyone. And you see it with the people that get caught and stuff, or just follow trade on using Twitter. Had they been closer to the source, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, there are
One
people.
thing.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, like one thing too is I think we're gonna like there's gonna be a flippening of identity at one point. I think it already started where your reputation sprouts from the chain versus the other way around. And it's already started in the sense that, take for example, Dingaling. Dingaling has a ton of followers on Twitter, not because of the content Dingaling posts. It's because of what Dingaling has on chain. And for the same reason, like, you know, when I was in the lineup for NFT NYC, I was in that lineup because of, you know, something rooted on chain and the fact that I had a wizard, right? And I think we're going to start seeing that more and more, where the reputation will be based on chain instead of an influencer that has 200,000 followers and then talking about different coins. You'll be following the person based on their actions on chain. And then what I think is really interesting is once you make the chain very readable and accessible to a lot of people, you can make the social side much, much closer in terms of proximity, right, to where things are actually happening versus them just being used on Telegram, Discord, and Twitter.
Yeah, Seb, this touches on something I wanted to ask you, which is, okay, number one, just off of what Dotta said, I love how I'm an idiot with Etherscan, and so I love how you've made it more human readable. But the other thing that I find really fascinating is yeah, the community and social component of this. And we've seen, I don't know, like a dozen people try to crack the so-called decentralized social media app. And I don't know that any of them have succeeded. And I'm wondering if you guys actually have a real chance at doing that now, because the base layer is the blockchain. You've got so many social features in here already, and I'm wondering if you have any plans to expand on these social features. Like, I don't know, let me just throw a few out there. DMing on the blockchain, or being able to post things on the feed that are not just pure transactions on the blockchain. Can you speak to that?
So yeah, absolutely. It's something that we're really thinking about. And I think if you think about like a retail block explorer, to me, it is a social product by nature, because a blockchain is people doing things. It's people walking downtown, going to the OpenSea gallery, buying art, going to the Ave Bank, taking out a loan. It's about people. And so making it readable is kind of like, if you're thinking about it uh, through a tech tree, it's like a node that you need to unlock to be able to enable the other social use cases. And I think what we're seeing with a lot of current, you know, Web3 social products is they're kind of taking Web2 products and, you know, bringing them and translating them kind of almost one to Web3, versus thinking about like fundamentally what is social about our space and how like blockchain works. And like one analogy I like to think about is like blockchain is kind of like a city. Um, and take the example of, you know, that I use with crypto Twitter, and using it with like cities. Right now, Web2, the digital fabric of like this digital downtown is very distorted. We all have different um, point of views or different windows into understanding like our digital reality. And we're kind of seeing right now kind of fall apart, that fabric starting to tear. In real life, you know, downtown is downtown, right? If you're walking downtown, you're not going to see different buildings and different things. And I think that's something that is sorely lacking in the digital world. And so if we're thinking about the social aspect through that angle, is instead of building echo chambers, why not surface the blockchain as its own downtown and return that sense of like anchored digital reality? Like you're walking through a downtown and meeting other folks or finding other opportunities. And I'm not saying this like literally, but like when you're using, Zapper, that's how you should feel. So in terms of social, we're still like ideating a lot into what it looks like. One thing I do like to think about is one thing about social is, and that's like a trick or something I've learned from like building products, is trying to find like how people are hacking, different products together to solve a need for a product that, like, say, Twitter and on-chain information. People are building bots. They're trying to bring on-chain information into Twitter, and you see it on Discord. Twitter's use case, and it wasn't really to like surface on-chain information, but people are using bots to bring on-chain information to Twitter to then be able to talk about it as it's like a public town square. So I think finding those insights is getting closer to what social could look like, but I think it looks more like a town square, actual town square, not like each and everyone has a different Times Square. And then from there, we can kind of build our own echo chambers. Like I think the pillar has to be like an immutable digital reality. And then from there, you can build your own communities or echo chambers. I think that's the part that's needed to have like social really work, because that's the nature of blockchains.
Okay, I have a really obnoxious question, and I'm going to ask it in an obnoxious way. Win Zapper coin.
Oh my God!
You can ignore that question if you want to. You don't have to.
Yeah, I'd ignore it if it came towards us. That's for sure.
I don't know.
One of the things that I think is like really challenging about this problem, because I've done some follow trading in my day, and I think like just writing the code to make smart contracts interpretable is difficult. It's easy to kind of like to understand the big players, but there's so many new contracts every day. What kind of like framework do you have for sort of like taking a function call and like making the parameters understandable? Like, do you guys have like a forum where people submit calls, or are you using like GPT to help create descriptions of like what's happening there? Like I've seen, have you seen like mint.fun? One of the things I love about there is they're like super smart about kind of automatically detecting like the contract calls from new mints. It's a lot of magic in a really sweet interface, which reminds me of like what you guys are doing. But anyway, I'm just curious, like, how do you think about that? Because, for example, I could imagine something like we would want to create this like card about like writing in the book of lore that shows up in like someone's Zapper feed in this kind of like way that you might do like a social card on Twitter or something like that. Like, so yeah, how do we get the book of lore in the Zapper feed?
So that's a really good question. Right now, so we've built an event interpretation model. I should call it transaction interpreter. We called it event because it's a more like general term. And basically what it does is it takes the transaction, all the logs, parameters, method, and then you're building a sentence in a way. You're saying like swapped, and then you're pointing to these parameters, or a specific thing in a log, to surface that new interpretation. And one thing I'm really excited about is that we haven't launched yet, but we're building and we're currently testing in-house, is allowing anyone to come in and interpret events. So right now, this is like behind a feature flag. We use it internally, but you can go directly on Zapper. You'll be able to go directly on Zapper. There's going to be a little edit icon at the top right of a card or inside the event page, and it'll pull up a modal, and you're basically like writing out in a sentence and then adding these little pills representing a unit inside that transaction.
Fun.
That unit can be a NFT collection. It can be a number, a text. It could be text. It could be an account. It could be a ERC20 token. It could be an app as well. And you're kind of taking those all together and you're stitching it into a sentence.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah, I just want to say this is not a sponsored like spot for Zapper. I legitimately think this site is really cool. I highly encourage everyone to go check it out. It's just zapper.xyz. You don't have to it's not a Web2 product. You don't have to give your email and make a password. All you do is connect to your crypto wallet through MetaMask or whatever. And you've already got an account. It's so cool. You can see all the people who hold Wizards tokens or whatever NFT you want. You can follow Wizards. And you might find that you have unclaimed tokens somewhere out there. Like I said at the top, I found like 0.7 unclaimed wrapped ETH that I never knew I had. And it basically just made all the money back that I lost on LFG tokens. So
Well, not to one up you, but I just found $11 in my wallet. So Sep, I'll send you 20% of that.
Wait, Bear, where did you find $11?
I don't know. It's like the looks token thing, the same thing.
Okay.
$11, baby.
Damn right. Yeah, super cool, Seb. It's really fun. I'm going to be connecting to this a lot.
Is there anything else, Seb, that you wanted to touch on, or are you good?
No, I'm good. Really, thank you guys. I love this community. I love Wizards. I'm a proud holder of Wizards, Souls, and Warriors. So yes, I'm always lurking too in the Discord. I'm not really commenting, but I'm sometimes in the Alpha channel just looking at stuff because I heard that Wizards are pretty good at finding Alpha.
Yeah, we have one of the best alpha chats out there, I would say.
Yeah.
It's true. But if they try to suggest a shit coin, maybe ignore them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I've mentioned, but I lost about 0.7 ETH on LFG. And that loss is right in plain view of everybody on zapper.xyz.
They told me that I would get the Boomer coin for free, and then they told me I had to send my coin to the deployer. So I missed out, like the Boomer that I am.
Well, I don't know if you knew this, Alf, but LFG is coming back.
I agree. That's why I haven't sold yet. It's definitely coming back. There's a rally on the
Let's
horizon.
pivot this whole
I've got a
space.
chart up. It's not coming back.
Damn it! Can I make another $11? Just tell me that, please.
Nope.
Damn. All right. Well.
All right. Great. Well, yeah. Unless there's anything else, I think we can end it there.
All right. Thank you, Seb.
I'm gonna sign us out with another recommendation from Zayla Soul. I'm sure you all recognize this song. Until next week, this has been Elf, Dotta, Bear, and Seb with Zapperfy.xyz, channeling out from the Quantum Downs. GN, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
And thank you, Tanya, for putting together the cult content thread for the week. We'll go over it next week. But follow Tanya Del Rio if you haven't.